And welcome everyone to our final regular season AP Top 25 poll reaction here on Bleacher Report. Not the end of our conversations, but the end of our breakdown of the poll. And why is that? Because on Sunday, we get a bracket in our hands, and that's all that matters for the rest of the college basketball season. Rankings are good. We like dissecting it, and we like doing it, but it all goes away, and we actually get a bracket. Now, how do the two things mirror each other? Well, as we look at the AP Top 25, the final regular season one, because conference tournaments, which have already started, and I've had a great time talking to the winners already. We've had the A-Sun, we've had the Big South, we've had the OVC, we've had the Summit and the Valley. So 5 AQ bids already, Saturday and Sunday. And then the rest of it will all happen from today being Monday through Sunday up until Selection Sunday and the Selection Show at 6 o'clock Eastern Time on CBS. So what does this poll tell us? Well, it doesn't always mirror the top seeds. But if it were Selection Sunday, today, Monday, the top 4 in the AP Top 25 poll would be the top 4 seeds. The order might be tweaked a little in terms of the seed lines, but the 4 number ones, I firmly believe, would be Duke, Houston, Auburn, and Florida. My gut is Auburn, even though they've lost 2 in a row, they have the best overall resume, so there's still a good chance they would be the number 1 overall seed. I don't know how much it really matters. We know they're going to play in Lexington, which will feed into Atlanta. Houston will likely play, I'm guessing, in Wichita, which would then feed into Indianapolis. They wouldn't go to San Francisco. They certainly wouldn't go to Newark. Duke will be Raleigh, Newark, assuming they progress. Florida, as a 1, would be probably the one that would get shipped. So they would probably be closest to Florida, likely Lexington, could be Raleigh as a 1 seed. And then they would get shipped out if they were to advance to San Francisco, because we do not have a top seed out west. Duke is the number 1 team in the country. Really an amazing run by John Shire and this crew. Got the sweep in North Carolina. They were down, came back, and got the sweep of the Tobacco Road Series. Their loss in the ACC was at Clemson. So this will be interesting, because the way the ACC bracket breaks out, Duke is the 1, 2, 3 is Clemson, Louisville. So if seeds hold, Duke's only going to have to play one of them in the final. I think that Clemson, even on, that was at Clemson. I think matchup wise, Clemson has a better chance of upsetting Duke on a neutral floor than Louisville. They've got the bigger bodies inside, Shefflin, and I think they would have the ability to cause some problems for Cooper Flagg and Common Malawach. So, there's a potential there. Although Duke is playing great right now, especially defensively. So I would lean Duke to win the ACC tournament title. Already we're getting questions chiming in that the ACC is horrible outside of Duke. I would amend that comment and tell you that I think the ACC is incredibly down outside of Duke, Clemson, and Louisville. I mean, Clemson and Louisville have had great seasons. We cannot deny that. So I would not dismiss Clemson or Louisville going on a run and getting to the second weekend, depending upon the bracket and how it breaks out. John Shire, I just saw Field 68, tabbed him as the National Coach of the Year. Haven't done mine yet, but really, when I look at this poll, I think the top candidates for the Naismith National Coach of the Year are all within this group of 7. Really, you could go to 9. I don't think Grant McCaslin can get it over Kelvin Sampson. And that's the problem. We've got so many SEC schools. But John Shire from Duke, Kelvin Sampson from Houston, what an unbelievable job he's done with the Cougars to win the Big 12. Then Bruce Pearl from Auburn, Todd Golden from Florida, Nate Oates from Alabama, Rick Pitino from St. John's, Tom Izzo from Michigan State, and Grant McCasland from Texas Tech. I think those are all legit candidates for National Coach of the Year. And I wouldn't be shocked if, again, there's not just one award. And so I won't be shocked if we will see multiple Coach of the Year awards. So with that being said, Duke has won, no problem, because Auburn lost 2 in a row. Houston, again, they answer the bell every single time, home road in the Big 12. Only one loss in the Big 12. Just seamless from Kelvin Sampson's crew. Auburn drops to 3. We'll get to my Power 37 in a moment. To me, they're top 5. You could debate 3, 4, 5. I'm fine with that. Florida checks in at 4. Alabama at 5 with the buzzer beater from Mark Sears, essentially, to beat Auburn to split that season series. St. John's at 6, buzzer beater to win at Marquette. They win the Big East tournament outright. And the way they're rolling right now, they're clearly the favorite at Madison Square Garden this week in New York to win the Big East tournament title. In fact, and then Michigan State, they beat Michigan, so they get the sweep of Michigan, and they win the Big Ten outright. So Auburn won outright SEC. St. John's won outright Big East. Duke won outright ACC. Houston won outright Big 12. Michigan State won outright Big 10. Of the conference tournaments coming up this week, I think Duke's going to win both. I think Houston's going to win both, meaning ACC Big 12 regular tournament. I think St. John's is going to win both, Big East regular season, Big East tournament title. I don't think, the way they're playing right now, that I would lean Auburn. I think it's a complete toss-up. I could make an argument for Auburn, Florida, Alabama, Tennessee. You know, if suddenly Kentucky or Missouri get hot, I could see that happening. Even an Ole Miss. So I think the SEC is wide open. So if you were to say Auburn versus the field in the SEC, who's going to win the SEC tournament, I would go field. Michigan State versus the field in the Big Ten, that's close. I really only think after what we've seen the last week, the only schools I think that will win the Big Ten tournament are Michigan State, Maryland, UCLA, or Purdue. Purdue is not playing as well lately, but it is Indianapolis. They're going to have a huge crowd there. So that's worth a few points. Michigan State's playing well. Don't play till Friday. Neither does Maryland or UCLA. Maryland has the best starting 5 among all of them. No bench. UCLA, probably the best defensive team. Can they score enough? Michigan State has that great second gear, and Purdue's going to have the ability to, 1-2 punch of Braden Smith, Trey Kaufman, Wren, and the home crowd, I should say. So, in that case, is it Michigan State versus the field? I might go Michigan State here because of the way they're playing. But it's close. Auburn versus the field, I'm going field in the SEC. Tennessee at 8, Texas Tech at 9, Grant McCasland doing a phenomenal job. There's Clemson at 10. Great to see the respect for Clemson. Maryland 11. A week ago, Wednesday, I was there for their win at Michigan. And then they took care of business over the weekend against Northwestern. Iowa State, not playing up to their potential, but they have not been healthy the whole season in the Big 12. Louisville, great respect for Pat Kelsey. I think Chucky Hepburn's an All-American. A&M, end of the 4-game slide. Beat Auburn, huge for the Aggies. Kentucky, what a great win at Missouri. They've not been healthy, and they're not going to be because Kirk Kriisa and Jackson Robinson, they're done for the season. They're not coming back. And yet, great win at Missouri. Mark Pope, also, in any other year, might be National Coach of the Year, let alone SEC Coach of the Year. Memphis, again, Memphis or the field in their conference tournament. I'm going Memphis. They won the regular season. I think they will win the American tournament. Now, UAB, North Texas, and even Wichita State could give them problems. But they have risen to the challenge, cut down the nets. Penny Hardaway, I think, is a National Coach of the Year candidate. Don't think he'll win it, but he's done a phenomenal job. So is Kevin Young at Brigham Young. BYU is on a tear right now in the Big 12. Now, could they beat Houston and win that conference tournament? Could they? Offensively, I think they can score well enough, but I don't think they're going to get the looks because Houston is just going to absolutely, they have the ability, I should say this, they have the ability offensively to score at a high clip. But against Houston, that's going to be incredibly difficult. Some teams can't score, whether you defend them or not. They just can't. Not the case with BYU. Wisconsin, really disappointing loss to Penn State at home. It was right there for them to get the double bye. So now that, this is a challenge. Greg Gard's challenging them. What do you got? Hopefully Max Klesmit's healthy for them. They had a chance to wait till Friday to get fully healthy. Now they got to play Thursday in Indy. St. Mary's, so undervalued. Let's see if they can close the deal and win the conference tournament. I think Gonzaga's got to get to that final, and I think it would help Gonzaga if they beat St. Mary's one time and not get beaten by the Gales 3 times. Purdue, a little surprised they're behind Illinois with the way Illinois played the other night in beating Purdue. But again, I think Purdue in Indy is, a pretty formidable team. Missouri losing that Kentucky home game, but still, again, Dennis Gates has done a phenomenal job. Another great job in the SEC, 0-18, now to a team that is going to compete for, I think, a second weekend. Little surprise, Michigan State in the top 25. Michigan is skidding in, losing 3 in a row, heading into the Big Ten tournament. I love that Oregon got recognized here. Oregon's been on a tear. Nate Biddle had a great game on Sunday against Washington. Oregon is a sleeper pick to win the Big Ten tournament of a team that's playing on Thursday. So they're playing Indiana to start the Big Ten tournament. This is what Dana Altman does. Dana Altman consistently has teams that perform better in late February and March. Illinois, what a great win for them. Will Riley played well in the win over Purdue on Friday night. And there's Marquette. Kind of surprised they stayed in the top 25. Lost at the buzzer, I know, to St. John's. But this Marquette team, and Cam Jones has played great. I don't know if they're the second best team in the Big East. Right now, by the way, this team that's playing second best to St. John's, it's actually Xavier. Xavier's won 7 in a row. So let's switch to, first of all, our last regular season team and player of the week. If we can do that, just give some shout outs here. Our March Madness National Team of the Week for the final week of the regular season was Florida. They beat Alabama 99-94 and then beat Ole Miss 90-71. I talked about Florida at the top of this. They're a 1 seed right now. They're the 2 seed in the SEC tournament. Todd Golden is a National Coach of the Year candidate. And Walter Clayton Jr., I think, could be an All-American. Our final regular season March Madness Player of the Week, JT Toppin from Texas Tech. Former New Mexico transfer. And by the way, this worked out well for both because Donovan Dent, to me, is an All-American. I think JT Toppin's an All-American. And both teams had great seasons. New Mexico winning the Mountain West, and JT Toppin and Texas Tech finishing second at Houston. Red Raiders, they've been one of the best stories. And Toppin had 30 points and 14 boards in a win over Colorado. And then he had 25 and 11 in a road win at Arizona State. The previous weekend, I know it's not part of this, honor, but he did have 21 in their win at Kansas. So pretty good. All right. So here's how I voted my Power 37. I had Duke 1, Houston 2, Florida 3, St. John's 4, Auburn 5. So little tweaking there. Tennessee 6, Alabama 7, Texas Tech 8, Michigan State 9, Maryland 10. So all in the same ballpark. I had BYU 11, APM 17. I had Iowa State 12, same number. I had Clemson 13. It's shocking here because usually this doesn't happen, but AP a little higher than they had Clemson at 10. I had 13. I had Memphis at 14, so up 2 from them. Louisville 15, so in the ballpark. I had St. Mary's 16. That's down from 19 of them. Illinois 17, AP had 24. I had Purdue 18, so behind Illinois, but higher than 20. I had UCLA at 19. I think UCLA is playing great. They crushed USC. I had Oregon at 20, a little higher. They had them at 23. I had Kentucky at 21. They did split the week. Ole Miss at 22. They didn't make this. I had New Mexico 23, Wisconsin 24, and Xavier. I'm giving the shout out to Xavier over Marquette. As I said, I think they're the second best team right now at 25. UConn 26, Creighton 27, Drake, which won the Valley Sunday, 28. A&M, I know they were at 14 for AP, but they just lost 4 in a row. Yes, they beat Auburn. So I didn't even have them last week. I put them in the top at 29. I'm sure I'll hear about that. Kansas 30 back in after that win over Arizona. Arizona 31. Arkansas 32. Good win over Mississippi State for Cal's crew. Georgia 33. Georgia had the great win this week to get back in. Let's see here. Missouri. I know Missouri fans are going to be mad at me, but they did have a rough week. They've lost 3 in a row, 3 of 4. Georgia's won 4 in a row. Marquette 35, dropped them way down. UC San Diego, they've won 13 in a row out of the Big West. And then Colorado State, they've won 7 in a row to get to second place in the Mountain West. All right, let's go to some questions. Where are we here? All right. So in the chat, we've got Wisconsin should be unranked. Fair criticism after blowing that game to Penn State. How many SEC teams make the big dance? All right, I'm going to answer that. If you don't mind, I'm just going to glance at my standings so I'm answering you correctly. And I'm going to tell you that there are, let's see. So Auburn, Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, A&M, Kentucky, Ole Miss, Missouri, Arkansas, Mississippi State, Georgia, Vanderbilt. That's 12. The question is, can they get to 13? Oklahoma, Texas are the 2 candidates. So I've got them getting 12 for sure. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12. 12 for sure. It's pretty good. Can Delaware make the finals? They play Towson Monday. No, Towson's going to win. Does Indiana have to win against Oregon to get in? I say no. I think they're in right now. Can the Zags beat St. Mary's? Yes, they can on a neutral court. Certainly in Vegas. UCLA got snubbed from the top 25. I agree. Auburn beat Houston. You know when that was? That was the first week in November. Head-to-heads in the top 25 when they're like a marathon ago? No. Well, AP does care what Michigan State has done the last 3 weeks because they got them at 7. Could Michigan State be a 1? I think that for them to be a 1, Florida has to drop out pretty early in the SEC tournament. I think Houston, Duke, and Auburn are set for 1s. Georgia, Arkansas, Kansas better than Missouri. I don't know if Kansas is. I disagree with that statement. I think Missouri's better than all 3 when they're playing well. I agree. Florida should have moved up. I had to move up. Clemson could win the ACC tournament, yes. St. John's should move up, and I had them higher. I had them at 3. All right, this guy thinks Michigan State, or person, excuse me, thinks that Michigan State should be top 5. Again, I'm not seeing that. Could BYU get a 3 or 4 seed? I think they could get a 4. Illinois is getting their act together. I saw them at their worst against Duke, and they're playing much better. They're healthier. Don't know why Marquette's ranked. Kentucky stands. It's too bad that Kentucky's not fully healthy. Georgia, I don't think deserves to be ranked in the top 25. I have them in my Power 37. Everyone's down on, Duke hasn't played a high-level opponent in 3 months outside of really losing at Clemson. Yes, this is all true. But I still think that they're talented enough to win the whole thing, regardless. All right. Iowa State deserves more respect. They've been inconsistent, especially with their injuries. Alabama loses and goes up in their ranking. They split the week. They lost to Florida but beat Auburn. Purdue 2-5 in the last 7 games. I agree. Very shaky. Can Alabama be a 1 seed? I think if they win the SEC tournament, they will be. Yes. I gave those conference champ predictions. Big 12, Houston's going to take it. ACC, Duke. Michigan State, I'll still say now, Big 10. I'm going Field over Auburn in the SEC. I'm going Memphis in the American. I'm going to go, I'm actually kind of feeling Dayton in the A10. I'm going New Mexico in the Mountain West to win both. And what am I forgetting? Big East, St. John's. Kentucky 3 or 4 seed with their overall resume. I think they could end up being 3. I voted for UConn in my overall 37. I didn't have my top 25. So not yet. A couple of housekeeping items here. First off, we're going to have a bracket, but on Sunday morning. So that's number 1. Keep an eye out. Okay. Last question here I'm going to take about Maryland. I think they could get as high as a 3. Okay. That's the highest they can be, is a 3. And that's even if they win the tournament. I don't know if they can get to the 2 line. They just don't have the non-conference. That's the problem. Syracuse and Villanova. Those were their best wins. Lost to Marquette. So I think 3 is probably their ceiling. Anyway, here's some items for you. Bracket will be on Sunday morning. All our platforms. 2, if you haven't noticed, if you follow me, hopefully you do, at the Andy Katz, I'm interviewing, hopefully we go 31 for 31, but either a player or coach from each school that wins their tournament. So I've already done 5. I know X has been down, so we'll post the one from last night from the Summit League. Then, starting Wednesday, I will interview either Bubba Cunningham or Dan Gavick. Bubba Cunningham is the North Carolina athletic director and the chair of the committee. That'll be Wednesday through Saturday, either Cunningham or Gavitt about the bracket process, what's happening in the room. I'll be in Indianapolis, not in the room, but I'll be in Indy covering the Big Ten tournament, so you can see all that coverage, of course. And then Sunday night, we are going to break down the bracket on this platform. I think, if I'm not mistaken, around 7 o'clock Eastern time after the bracket show, which is 6 to 7 on CBS. And then it all starts a week from tomorrow with the first 4 in Dayton. So plenty to digest over the next week. I want to give a huge shout out to our producer extraordinaire, Caitlin Schmidt from TNT Sports and Bleacher, doing an outstanding job because this is our last regular season Bleacher Report breakdown. But of course, we have plenty in the postseason. But just make sure she gets her due. Outstanding. I won't say, what's going to happen with her alma mater, because they are firmly on the bubble and they need some wins in Greensboro. I think that's Greensboro this week. Anyway, I won't, her team needs some help. Thank you to Atlanta and New York overall, and doing an outstanding job. So, as always, at the Andy Katz on X, if it's up and running, and the real Andy Katz on Instagram, also on Blue Sky, but I can't remember the whole thing. But just look for my name. We need to change the video thing on Blue Sky so we can post more there. Anyway, appreciate everyone. Off to Indy tomorrow for the Big Ten tournament. So catch all that action, and it should be a pretty great week as we see all the bids start filing in. And look, Cooper Flag and Duke, the number one team in the country, heading into the ACC tournament. And we got a chance that the National Player of the Year, it's either going to be Flag or Broom, or maybe both. Maybe they'll share it. Both are on teams that can win the national championship. That almost never happens. Last year, it almost happened because Zach Edey played for the national championship. So almost happened. And we'll see if it does happen this year if Duke or Auburn win the national championship. They're certainly going to be two of the favorites heading into the NCAA tournament. Appreciate everyone. Thank you. Have a great week watching all this great basketball.